Okay, so we're going to go into some questions that starts with, it says, do you have a sense of direction? Do you know where you're going? It says to grow, you must know yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses, your interests and your opportunities. You must be able to gauge not only where you've been, but also where you are now. Otherwise, you cannot set a course for where you want to go. And of course, every time you want to learn something, you must be able to take new things you've learned today and build upon the things you learned yesterday to keep growing. And so it kind of makes me think of, I like to be in the ocean, so I like to go out on boats in the ocean, or out in the wilderness and all these things where you know a destination you want to get to, but if you can't figure out where you're at in a map, then you have no chance of getting anywhere else. So this can also be the same, relatable to most other people. If you're in like a mall or an airport and you want to go somewhere else, but you're like staring at the little map and it doesn't have the little where you are bubble, like there's no way. You cannot route yourself to where you want to go unless you know exactly where you're at now, and then you can have a plan. So that's what it's talking about. To reach your potential, you must know where you want to go and where you currently are. He says there are only 3 kinds of people when it comes to having direction in life. So the first thing he says, it says, people who don't know what they want to do. He says they're usually confused, and they just have no idea what they're shooting for. So that's rough spot number 1. Number 2 is people who know where they want to go, what they want to do, but they don't do it. He said that they're usually frustrated. And then last week we talked about the growth gap traps, and like one of the major ones is fear. And so it's usually fear that prevents them. Different types of fear, but fear overall. And then number 3 are people who know what they want to do and they do it. Okay? So these people know themselves, possess a strong sense of passion, are focused in purpose, grow in areas that help them move closer to their purpose, and do what they were created to do. The word that best describes them is fulfilled. I want to be a fulfilled person for sure. And so, let's see. Love that. We're going to skip on down. You have to know who you are to grow in potential, but you have to grow in order to know who you are. So it's a catch-22. The best way to start is to pay attention to your passion. And so he talks about different areas of passions for him. So he has a nice little acronym of REAL for his, which is relationship, equipping, attitude, and leadership. So I started to think about mine, and mine is probably fitness. I put people in mine. I'm extremely passionate about people. So maybe relationships, but I think just people in general. Fitness, people, leadership, and freedom. And so I have found so much fun in freedom, not only of my own kind, but helping other people have freedom financially, in their body and in their minds, and spiritually. Oh my gosh, my thing may die. We're gonna have to put it in high gear. Okay, so how to find your passion and purpose. The first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. Do you like what you're doing? Alright, skips down. Abraham Kaplan says, as Socrates once said, the unexamined life is not worth living. So the unlived life is worth examining. So if you're not enjoying what you're doing for a living, you need to take some time and examine why. Oh snap, I'm about to act up. Oh my gosh, please don't, I'm trying to focus. Okay, and then 2, what would you like to do? What is your passion? It says if you, there is definitely a direct connection between finding your passion and reaching your potential. Every successful person I've ever met has a strong sense of his or her unique abilities and aspirations. They're leaders in their own lives, and they dare to pursue their dreams on their own. It says, when you do, it makes all the difference. Why? When you tap into your passion, it gives you the E&E factor, and it says energy and excellence. So it helps you push in both of those. It goes down and talk about how people ask when he's going to retire, and he says, why would anyone quit doing what they love? How do you know what you want to do? How do you tap into your potential? You listen to your heart. You pay attention to what you want to do. It says, how different our lives are when we really know what is deeply important to us. And keeping that picture in mind, we manage ourselves each day to be and to know what matters most. Okay, so the third point here is, can you do what you like to do? So he also talks about somebody, he was a pastor, and he talks about somebody that was a worship leader for him, that he could truly tell by watching this man in his life, he was not doing what he wanted to do. And so he questioned, like, what would you really like to do? And he said he would like to be an announcer for the Chicago Cubs baseball team. This man apparently did not possess the talents that he needed to do that. And so it talks about practicing in your skill set, not just having like some pipe dream of a job. Like, let's be real. I am never going to be a professional ballet dancer, no matter how much I want to, and I believe you can train into a great deal of things, but I'm not gonna be able to train into a tiny frame or elegance, or grace rather. While I love to dance, being a professional ballet dancer is never gonna be in the cards for me. And so it's talking about working in your skill set and your abilities, not just something that you want to do, because there's a huge difference between the two. So it's finding the two that pair together. It says, do you know the difference between what you want to do and what you're good at? Do you know what drives you and what gives you satisfaction? And do you know what your values and priorities are, and what your organization's values and priorities? So it's starting to talk about how you line up with your organization, your company that you're under. And so it says that you need to make sure that you line up under it, because if you don't, you're not going to be happy working for that company. Like, I know there are certain values the company could have that I am not going to line up with, and working under them, I will never fully be able to be myself. And so it would just make every day painful. And so, like, if I couldn't pray, or talk about God, or mention Him in any way, it's not going to be a great day, because that's like 65 to 90% of my personality. Alright, it says, there were some quotes here that I liked. Almost every man wastes part of his life in attempts to display qualities which he does not possess. Your goal should be to waste as little time as possible. And a former MLB pitcher, Jim Sundberg, said, discover your uniqueness and discipline yourself to develop it. So I talk to my niece and nephew all the time. I like to think the world has a different word for uniqueness. They call it weird, and it seems to be frowned upon a lot of times. I always tell my niece and nephew it's cool to be weird, because it's cool to be unique. It's cool not to be like everybody else. It's cool to stand out. We like those things, okay? So, discover your uniqueness and develop it. Do you know why you want to do? Do you know why you want to do what you would like to do? I believe it's very important to understand your why. So I knew that I like to help people. I actually got challenged a lot at the ID Life. What did we go to? Revolution was the last one. And they talked about like understanding your why. They meant it in like the ID Life aspect of things. I was thinking of everything in like the gym aspect of things, and like my answer was, because God told me to, which is great, and it's motivation if you're disciplined, but it's not as inspirational as you would like it to be. And so I put a lot of time and thought into figuring out what my why was, and that it helps me every day. My why is because I want to help people find freedom. I want people to move freely. I want people to be happy. I want to help people out of depression. I want people to lose their anxiety. I want people to be able to move freely and without pain. I want people to lose weight and be happy. Stuff like that. I want people to use food to get out of diseases. Stuff like that. So that's why I do what I do. And also because God told me to. And so it helps me every day to have a much clearer vision of that. Okay. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside? Who looks outside? Dreams. What looks inside awakens. So we want to be inside and awakened, not just looking outside and dreaming for what could be. So remember, we got your dreams and goals, actionable plans. Do you know what to do so you can do what you want to do? So it's awareness now. To move from what you're doing to what you want to do is a process. It takes awareness. Picture where you are in any area right now. Now picture where you want to be. Richer, thinner, happier, you name it. The first step towards change is awareness. If you want to get from where you are to where you want to be, you have to start by becoming aware of the choices that led you away from your desired destination. Become very conscious of every choice you make today so that you can begin to make smarter choices forward. And so it talks about, okay, we'll go ahead. You cannot change direction if you aren't aware that you're not headed where you want to go. And so it's like the person who wants to start the diet but won't start it, they continue to make the same mistakes that cause them mistakes. They continue the same route, same habits that cause them to gain 15 pounds every year for the last 6 years. You have to be aware and see it to make those changes. So it's the same in your career. If you're in the same job that you've hated for the last 5 years, but you don't look at what got you there and got you stuck there in your rut, then you can't pivot away from it. And so it's making new steps. And the next section is action. You cannot win if you do not begin. Nearly all successes are fruits of initiative. Sorry, word threw me off. Sometimes I look down at pages and all I see is like a bunch of letters floating around. So y'all hang in there with me. Next is accountability. Few things prompt a person to follow through like accountability. One of the ways you can do this is make your goals public. Guys, I do this all the time. And let me tell you something that's not fun to do. Set a goal, work for it, and fail extremely publicly. I've done it a couple times. It's not a lot of fun. You know what you do? You hustle and you work real hard, and you hope that's not the outcome. And so it's a great motivator. Also, accountability is awesome. I have it in my phone. I call a friend to check on his training every other week because that's what he asked me to do. So every other week he gets a phone call, 12 o'clock on Thursday, or right before 12 on Thursday. And I just see how his training is going. You know what he did? He texted me this morning. He made it to the gym 3 times last week. He's hoping for 4 this week. He was already done a run today. So we're doing great. Attraction. If you've become aware of the steps you must take to do what you want to do, take action and become accountable and follow through. You will begin to produce the behavior you desire, and you will start getting closer to doing what you want to do. You start attracting like-minded people. This is the biggest thing. It is the coolest thing. I can't tell you how many like-minded people I have around me right now, and it's amazing. It makes every day easier to have like-minded people around you. Who you are is who you attract. Birds of a feather flock together. If you want to be around growing people, become a growing person, and they will automatically be attracted to you. Or people around you will become what you're becoming. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's like a ripple effect. You know, you throw the rock and it ripples out. Growth is kind of like that. Do you know people who do what you like to do? My greatest growth has always come as a result of finding people ahead of me who are able to show me the way forward. I think I touched on that last week. Instead of being jealous of people that are thriving, that are above you, just hitching your wagon and trying to learn as much as you can from them. Alright? You should do what you like to do. Oh, should you do what you like to do with them? No. You need to be very intentional about when you get a mentor, about having very focused time with them. If they pour into you, you need to show them how hard you're working to develop as they're putting time into you. And so possess a teachable spirit. Always be prepared for the time you get with your mentor. So like having questions. Again, when I went to that conference, I actually had somebody that's on my team. I'm lucky to have like a team of bangers, man. And he asked me when I'm meeting other people that are owning businesses and doing well, what questions I was asking them. And he actually helped me develop a list of questions. And so for the next day and a half, every time I would meet a successful business owner, entrepreneur, somebody out there like getting after it and doing well, I would ask them these series of questions. I think I had like 5 questions. And their answers were always amazing. And I came back and I like really focused in on those. They help a lot. Set an agenda by asking great questions. Demonstrate how you've learned from your time together. Be accountable for what you've learned. So always have a game plan. We're going to skip forward a lot. Will you pay the price to do what you want to do? Probably. The most honest self-made man ever was the one we've heard say, I got to the top the hard way, fighting my own laziness and ignorance every step of the way. That's fighting a lot of laziness. I didn't want to get up at 5 this morning. It's okay. We do it anyways. We do hard things. Alright, number 9. When can you start doing what you like to do? When you ask the general public this, they always say, someday. But if you're waiting to be ready, you're probably never going to start. Most of the accomplishments I've achieved in life, I began to attempt before I was really ready. So it's like full sending it all the time. It's a lot of fun. Sorry guys, I'm sweaty. I don't have air conditioning. I have a little unit in here and it's loud, so I turned it off. Okay, we gotta hurry up. We got 2% battery life left. Alright, we're on the last point though. It says, what will it be like when you get to do what you want to do? He said, first, it will be different from what you imagined. He says he never anticipated the expectations others would put on him to produce. So it's like once you become like a producing person or a leader, other people begin to put pressure on you. So that's a lot of fun, but it's something you have to deal with. But I also never anticipated the that's where we were. The expectations other people would put on me to produce. When you do what you want to do, it will be more difficult than you ever imagined. I never expected to have such great demands on my life or to have to keep paying the price to be successful. You just have to keep putting time in and putting effort in. I keep losing my spot. When you do what you've always wanted to, it will be better than you ever imagined. So just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth it. It'll be better than you ever imagined. I didn't anticipate a compound return for me personally, for the individuals he's mentored, that it would just continue to grow and get better. Nothing else compares to doing what you were created to do. And then there is a famous quote, there are 2 great days in every person's life. The day you were born and the day you discovered why. And so I like that. And so that's the end of the chapter. There is the applying section where there's some homework and some questions. So this has some questions for you to look through. It's like, what would you like to do? What are the talents and skills, opportunities do you possess that supports your desire to do it? And then 5 other questions. I'm going to add these into the comments so you can do that. Again, highly recommend this book. I'm just skimming through and it's just still way too much knowledge to get through in 20-25 minutes. So, love you guys. Be blessed. I hope to see you next Tuesday. But I'm going to drop this into the comments. Let me know what you think, and if this helps you, if you have any questions, please always reach out. Love you. God bless.